Forced conformity is killing us. In a previous video, I mentioned how everyone is born with something that they are intrinsically good or intrinsically exceptional at. Personally, for me, I've kind of sorted these into 3 categories that I've made up. This is not a scientific thing, but 3 major categories: mental, physical, and emotional strength. My firm belief behind this lies in very large part to how I have been growing up and throughout my life. I've always been very mentally adept at understanding things and very cognizant of how the world functioned and how expectations placed upon us would impact and affect the future. My biggest question with it has always been why we force, insist, and are adamant that people work against what they are good at. And what I mean by this is each of us is a unique individual. Each of us has our strengths, weaknesses, secrets about us. In that regard, we're all the same, but we're all unique because of those experiences and because of what makes us, us. So, why do we sit here and we nurture and raise our children to believe, oh, we're just supposed to fit in, do what we're told? I mean, I understand why in the grand scheme. It's because the system needs workers. It needs people to shovel and do the heavy labor, whether it's customer service or physical labor itself. It needs people to do that in order to continue functioning. And the K through 12 education system, at least, all that it teaches you is to think a very precise and specific way, that a number equates to equates to your value as an individual, and a number tells you whether or not you are good or bad, essentially. A number that, in my firm belief, is completely arbitrary and has no actual meaning to the day-to-day, to an individual's capacity to excel and be incredible at something. And at first, someone will probably come out and say, oh, well, where's your evidence for that? You know, where's this and that? Throughout my entire educational career, from preschool up until I graduated college even, not even K through 12, preschool through the end of college, I have always struggled with education. I never cared for it. I never thought it was important, for lack of better phrasing. And I never understood why I should care about the subject at hand, mostly. So almost my entire educational career I made between mid-60s and mid-70s. I pretty much sat on that C to D grade line the entirety of my educational career. However, throughout the years, I had professors and teachers that were very passionate about what they did, about how they did it, and not only teaching the subject matter at hand, but teaching life skills and something that will benefit us long term. And those are the teachers and professors that I had mid to high 90s in, that I passed with flying colors. Those were the classes that I would come home and I would be telling my parents, oh, we learned this today, instead of, I don't know, it was boring. Because those teachers and those professors cared. Not necessarily about the subject matter at hand, but they cared about my and our development as students, as people. They cared to put in the extra work, to put in the extra time, and even if it meant doing a little bit of catch up on the back end, they felt it important to teach a life lesson instead of just doing the bare minimum and what was expected of them. So, why am I so bothered by this overall, aside from what I feel is an obvious fact of the matter? I'm frustrated because I know brilliant, friendly, wonderful, wonderful individuals that I have met at college who years later are still struggling to find consistent employment, are struggling to find employment in the first place, or they're stuck working at a minimum wage job that doesn't want them to move forward or progress. They're just there to work the cashier, or just there to, flip burgers in the back, whatever it ends up being. Why are we effectively preventing and limiting, why are we effectively preventing and limiting potential engineers, biologists, teachers, tech workers, continue down the list? Why are we preventing people who are genuinely passionate about what they do, about what they want to do, and about the subject matter that they paid tens of thousands of dollars, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars? Why are we telling them that they are not fit for a job role or a job position? Why are we telling them that it doesn't matter what piece of paper they have, that the only thing that their value lies in is doing the bare minimum, doing something that realistically anybody could do, whether they have the college degree or not? And again, I've only been able to come back to the fact that the reason that that's the circumstance is because this society and this economy does not want people who are passionate and people who want to do good purely for the purpose of doing good. They do not want those people to excel and succeed, because then things start getting out of place. Because then we don't have enough workers to shovel and to do the things that the 1% doesn't want to. Because all of a sudden, we start having people who question the way things have been done instead of, quote, doing them the way they're supposed to be done, end quote. Because the way they're supposed to be done is for you to fit in and be accepted by society, not to stand out and be unique or to excel. On top of that, on top of people being born with something that they are intrinsically exceptional at, something that they understand and that they have a strength in, people are also born with a certain way of thinking and understanding the world in a certain light. I believe that's very heavily tied to the three major categories that I mentioned earlier: mental, physical, or emotional. But we all perceive and understand the world in different ways. We all process information. We can see the same event and it can carry different weight for us. It can have a different impact as to how we live and lead our lives forward because of things that have happened to us in the past or because of other circumstances that we have seen that others might not have. So, again, feeding off of my last video a little bit, why are we fighting that intrinsic behavior of ours? Something that is within our own unique selves, in our biological nature. Why are we saying that one way is right and the other way is wrong? They're two sides of the same coin. Finishing this out, I think I mentioned it in a past video, but evolution as a species, as an animal, Homo sapiens, as an animal, we are destined and meant to evolve. We're meant to grow. We're meant to become better for ourselves and for the collective. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because if we really want to evolve as a species, we need to start working together and collaborating to just do better in the grand scheme. To start pushing innovations and advancements for the betterment of everyone, because we all deserve to be comfortable and have a happy life. And when we can't do the one thing or, engage in our passion that we have been born with, it leads to negativity that brews inside us. It sits there and we get down on ourselves. We say, I don't fit in. I don't belong here. Continue down the list. Or we start blaming others and we get aggressive and hostile. The world becomes our enemy and we are the only one who can do something, which, hysterically enough, is a negative self-fulfilling prophecy. Because hostility doesn't get us anywhere. It just reinforces the same point that someone is, quote, right, and another person is, quote, wrong. History is written by the victors. History is written by those that have control and those that can make decisions. And by conforming and just doing what we're told, we're not able to make those decisions for ourselves anymore. And it's unfortunate because the people that are making these decisions are not affected by them. The people that have the power to actually make change and to better everyone, they use it for themselves. Because down here at the bottom, we're a number. Right back where we started. Back in school. Trying to get that perfect score on a test. Trying to catch up on all those homework assignments that we just didn't do or only did halfway. Just so we can see our number be a little bit better. I'd love to see a world where everyone's number is the same. Because we're not seeing each other as numbers anymore. Because we're seeing each other as people. So, if you're here until the end, as always, thank you for listening. I appreciate your time.